Hello everyone, this is LW Gaming and welcome to a brand new installment of Future Langrisser. Well, I would say global version of Future Langrisser. Well, this time I'm going to talk about the next upcoming major update, and by the time I'm recording, today is the 28th. I'm recording this about like a week early, more than a week, I would say. The reason why I want to do this is because I want to get this out right on cue, because usually I do forget things, and yeah, I better do them now rather than later. So, anyways, this is just for treat for all of you, just for this time around. Like this will be live like early for those who are members, which was like about a week or so, I would think. But anyways, this will be out. This will be out for global, like not for global, for like everyone in my channel on the 10th of February. So, anyways, let's get around to what Nornorin and Safreen are about. So, anyways, first off, let's talk about Nornorin. And she is a aquatic unit as well as an infantry unit. And when how her class goes, and the faction she's part of Legion of Glory, Strategic Masters, and Meteor Strike. And her talent is the Blade of Tides. And keep in mind the name might change on global depending on how Izan gonna name their talents. So, anyways, I'm gonna go by Blade of Tides because that's what the translation is supposed to be. Anyways, the damage though is increased by 15, 20, 25, or 30% depending on star level. And after taking action, if Nornorin is in water, recovers her own HP equal to 1.5 to 2.5 times of Nornorin's attack based on star level, depending on how high it is. The higher the stars, the better the healing effect will be. If this healing exceeds maximum HP, it can be converted into shield HP that can't be dispelled. And this can scale up to 25% of max HP. So you can pretty much get over shield, or I would say over heal, I would say. So like you'll be able to outstand the battle a lot longer with the shield on there, which is unique to her. Although, of course, not. She isn't the first one to have like a shield HP mechanic. The first one introduced this was Evil God Kruger with the specific skill. So now we got even more characters with the shield HP, which is pretty nice. After taking action, can select any block within 5 blocks around Nornorin to cast. And the casting will be Summon Tidal Wave. And this will push enemies and the caster up to 3 blocks away in full tide. I mean in 3 straight lines for two blocks, and may cause the affected blocks to receive the effect of full tide for 2 turns. When you and the enemy are on full tide special terrains, the terrain is considered as water. If this skill successfully activates the effect of displacement, all buffs will not be reduced in turn count and can attack again, but you cannot move during this phase, which is something you need to keep in mind. And this can be activated again after 4 to 2 turns, depending on star level. So let me give you a rundown how her talent works. Like she has the damage down increased by a certain amount. She'll heal after combat by a specific amount depending on star level based on her attack. And also, if it exceeds over the HP, like of her max HP, it's going to be converted into a shield, which will allow you to block several like hits. I would say several damages, which is nice, up to 25% of her HP. And also when you're taking action and you get to choose to use the summon tidal wave, which will push enemies and yourself 3 blocks away in the direction you're facing, like for 2 blocks, which is which is interesting. And then it causes the affected block to receive the full tide, which is basically water terrain. Basically changes the terrain that it's on as water, which is interesting. Which is something which kind of reminds me of McLean. Although when I think about McLean, I could see that Nornorin might not be of use against Nemia because of a couple reasons. Like one, her threes, well, not her 3C, her single target 2C will actually attack her directly. And also, since she does not come with revive, she is going to die instantly. So I could see Nemia might still be of use against her, but we'll have to see how it goes because some people do carry her and some people do not. But then again, like I said earlier, we just had to wait and see how it goes because I think Lemia might actually be of more use in the current meta when she comes along. Anyways, with this skill activate the effect of displacement, the duration would not be reduced for Nornorin, and also she can attack again, but you cannot move during this time, and you can get this again after 42 turns. So not gonna lie, she is pretty solid, but the only thing you need to watch out for if you're using Nornorin is Nemia's single target, like the signature single target that can guard ignore. Yeah, that's the one thing you need to watch out because she is gonna be she is gonna be weak against that. So just be aware of that when you're using the Norin or anybody that relies on water in general. Because not only she gets guard ignore, she also gets stunned at the same time, unless you can resist it by using mass resist or any means of a debuff immunity. Because now there's not only Rosensteel that can do that, Ilya does that too. Just so to keep in mind. And next up, let's talk about her skills that she comes with. So the first one is called Tide Weaving Spell. This is a one C skill, 4 turn cooldown. It's a self cast and it's a single target. And this is a active skill and gains when passing through water, swamp, and the friendly full tide terrain effects. Gains 2 blocks to negate mobility reduction, which is nice, which will allow you to move further without worry about like consuming mobility. And also, and this effect will stay on you for 2 turns, and you can move another 2 blocks and attack again. You can use this as a self act against skill, like most units that we have so far, like Andy, you name it, anything that has like an act again component to it. And after using this skill, the summon tidal wave can't be carried. It can't be casted at the end of the action, and the buff duration will not be reduced. So that's the one thing to know. When you use this skill, you cannot use the summon tidal wave to push yourself away from wherever you're facing. Okay, moving on to 2C skill, Realm of the Surging Tides is a 3 turn cooldown and is a self cast, 2 blocks AoE. And this will attack all enemies within 2 blocks from the Norin, dealing 0.36 times AoE damage, preventing enemies from receiving act again effects that last for 2 turns, and applies special terrain, full tide to the affected blocks for 2 turns. So yeah, this skill is really powerful. This is a anti AoE, this is a anti act again kind of skill. So when you inflicted those enemies with it, and this will prevent them from receiving act again. So if you're facing against someone like Ishin putting like act agains on allies, on the enemies that could cause problems for you, well, with Nonora on your side, you can basically do not have to worry much about it because act agains aren't going to be applied to them because of the act again block. Essentially, they're wasting it. That's what I'm saying. And finally, we got 3C skill, Shattering Wave Slash. It's a 3 turn cooldown, 1 block, and it's a single target. And the passive part of this is that it ignores 20% of the enemy's defense when fighting in water. And after dealing damage, the enemy's armor effects are disabled, except for max HP, for 2 turns. When a target is an NPC, the effect is replaced with defense minus 25%, which lasts for 2 turns. And this passive is actually pretty good. Like, if you face against someone that has like an annoying armor skill, I would say, like, forbidden battle armor or whatever it is, anything that can actually cause problems for you, or last rites, I would say, if you're fighting like flyers, archers, anybody that uses last rites, you're gonna have an easier time against them because you're gonna disable their armor as long as they're not resist against it. And it does physical damage, attacks a single enemy, dealing 1.6 times damage, and gains command before combat. Enemies in water within 3 blocks of her have all stats reduced by 10% X type HP, and they will attack last. And this will last for 2 turns. And you cannot dispel it no matter what. And deals 0.1 times AoE damage to all enemies in 1 ring radius around Nonorin. While in water, the damage and range of this effect are doubled. So yeah, if you do this in water, you are gonna have like a double the damage as well as the AOE effect, which is gonna be absolutely nasty. So what do I think about this character? I would say this is a solid addition, but I gotta say she is not really like a meta word addition. It's just a side grade for your current box if you think about it. Because there are some things you need to watch out for. Like I mentioned earlier about Lemia. Oh man, if you have something that can resist stun, then you're okay. But if you don't have anybody that can resist stun, like Aelia or Rosensteel, or anybody that has gospel or anything in general, you're gonna have a rough time with Nornorin. But other than that, she is solid. Okay, next up, let's talk about the other character that will be coming to the game as well, and this character is Safreen. Many of you might know her as one of the NPCs that you're seeing in the Epijar's Chronicles mode, or any other story content like Gate of Fate, I would say. Anyway, she is going to be playable in the next upcoming update, which is pretty nice. And the class she comes with are Mage and Holy. And I gotta say, of course, since the other character I talked about earlier, like Dragon Slayer, well, not really earlier, but I'm just saying the upcoming Dragon Slayer character, he is someone you should probably not ignore because for some reason he has the mechanic where who can reverse the class advantage. So like he can be demon and flyer. And what you guys might think like, what do you mean by that? Well, the thing is, even though Saffron has holy class and a mage, the best option for her is of course mage to negate the reversal like class of reversal effect. And yeah, as you can see, you're gonna need to think carefully. Like if there's a character that has like an alternative like a class type, go for that one instead of like holy or archer, in general, because these characters are not gonna be viable against Dragon Slayer. Although I'm not saying that these classes are dead. It's just that they'll have a hard time dealing with him. And speaking of factions, Saffron is part of Origins of Light. She's also part of Mythical Realm and Langrisser Reincarnation Tensei, or known as Tensei faction. Her talent named Nature's Resonance increases her int by 10 to 20% depending on soul level. Has Elemental Affinity. For each ally with Elemental Affinity, the unit's range is increased by 1, and this can be stacked up to 3. So imagine her with the 5 attack range. Yeah, another character with 5 attack range, apart from Enya. Oops, I burped. Sorry. Anyways, I don't know why I did that when I was talking. Anyways, moving on. What I mean by the unit range increased by 1, like if you have all those like stacked up, she can essentially hit enemies from 5 blocks, like without the help of Separate Affinity, unless you're using a skill, that is, which is absolutely crazy if you think about it. And damage out increased by 10% as well, and this can also increase by 30% with the amount of elemental affinity that she has, or allies actually. Uh, Based on how it sounds with elemental affinity, she is she is someone you should not mess around with because if you're not careful, she can cause a lot of problems for you. After actively using the skill, a Spirit of Harmony will be summoned at the end of the action. And what the Spirit of Harmony does is that it inherits the skill used this turn and has a 100% of the current stats. And two of these spirits can be existing at the same time. Oops. If no damage is dealt at the end of the duration, can actively recall one of its Spirit of Harmony and remove the cooldown of the skill it inherited. The duration of the buffs will not be reduced after use and can attack again. And you cannot move and cannot summon Spirit of Harmony this way. And this can be used again after 2 to 1 turns, depending on star level. So what do I think about this character? I would say this one is probably by far better than Nornorin as when it comes to like the range as well as the power, how it works. So depending on how like the Spirit of Harmony will enable her act again, which is pretty nuts if you think about it. If you have seen the CN trailer in the past, like before, you can see how terrifying she can be if you like if you like use the Spirit of Harmony in the correct way. I would say. No, Saffron is gonna be able to act again, but at the same time you cannot move while in this phase. And also, if you weren't able to attack with that spirit, you can actually get that skill back immediately, which is pretty nuts. Next up, let's talk about the skills that she comes with, the unique ones, I would say. Nature's Absorption, and it's a 2-turn cooldown, 2 blocks, and it's a single target. And this does magic damage, attacks a single enemy, dealing 1.4 times damage. For each ally with elemental affinity, ignores 10% of the enemy's MDef, which is a maximum 30% if you have 3 stacks, I would say. After combat, gain shield. Well, not stacks. I would say like 3 allies with this, like elemental affinity. After combat, gains shield, and this one blocks damage equal to 3 times of Safreen's int, and this can last for 2 turns. And then while in when then also this can't be dispelled, which is nice. When carrying melee soldiers, soldiers will also attack. This skill is not affected by melee damage penalty. So yeah, this one you can use it close range if you like, but I don't recommend it if you're fighting against a close combat enemy. So yeah, if you have any chance, just range it. If not, if you're fighting mages or anybody that actually have vulnerability against melee, I would say go get up close to them and personal. And next up is our 1C skill called Mana Encirclement. It's a 2-turn cooldown, 3 blocks, single target. After using active skills, can swap position with a friendly unit with elemental affinity. Oh, that's gonna be nuts. And this is an assist skill, actively used to grant a friendly unit with elemental affinity to gain shield, can block damage equal to 3 times of Safreen's int, and this will last for 2 turns and cannot be dispelled. And here comes the 3C part of her skill called Elemental Annihilation. 3C is a 3-turn cooldown, 5 blocks range, 3 lines AoE. And this is a magic damage. Attacks all enemies in 3 straight lines, dealing 0.36 times AoE damage and apply an elemental distortion special turning effects to the affected blocks that last for 2 turns. What this effect does is that if an enemy unit on this terrain is in forest or plains, it cannot receive the effect of move again. When a friendly spirit of harmony passes through the terrain, it has a chance to negate the mobility reduction of 1 block. So yeah, this skill is actually pretty complex, but it's actually easy to understand. So this one essentially hits enemies like in the 5x3 range, like depending on where you're facing. And in the elemental distortion, basically prevents enemies from move again when in the forest or plains. It's kind of similar to how Hilda's anti-act again thing works, but this one works against the move again mechanic. So you might still be able to act again, but you won't be able to move. I think that's how it works here, but I might be wrong. But we'll have to see how it goes, because I know that these two aren't the same thing. Like anti-act again and anti-move again, those two are not the same, as far as I know. All right, moving on to the next part of the video, which is the banners. We're going to talk about what banners are we going to expect here. Although there are some revisions I had to make here, because for one, originally in the CM version, they have the return of the Ice Abyss or Sovereign of the Ice Abyss. That was planned for this update, but since we got Sovereign of the Ice Abyss early since Enya's major update, I am not too sure if they're gonna run her again on this update. So that's why hers is a bit semi-transparent. So as you can see, this is the first we will be expecting. We'll be seeing Safreen and Nornorin on the first week. And this will start on the 13th of February all the way to March 12th. Although Ice Abyss might be there as well, but the thing is the chance of that happening might be little to none. We'll just have to see how Zealand's going to handle this from this point forward. And then on week 2, we'll be seeing 2 radar banners. First time we'll be seeing more banners appearing at the same time. This time we'll have Celica and Gun on the first radar banner, and the second radar banner featuring Grenchiel and Tyrantel, the 2 menacing units. And also the Wish banner of Langrisser 1, 2, and 3. And this will start on the February 20th all the way to March 5th. Third week, we'll be expecting a radar banner and a Destiny banner. This one features Ishin and Christiane, and the second one features Emperor Lovina, Sagani, and Lemia. And speaking of devil, Lemmy is on the bad banner, which is anti-aquatic attacker. Yeah, which is pretty nuts if you think about it. And also the wish banner of Langrisser 4 and 5. And these set of banners will start on February 27th all the way to March 12th, which is the end of the major update. And then on the fourth week, we'll be seeing two Destiny banners. This one features a Dank Elmo, Torn Milk, and Transcender. And then the classic returning banner of Elwyn, Leon, and Bernhardt. And although speaking of the classic returning Destiny banner, although it is confirmed that one update, at least one update, is not going to run the cycle. But thankfully, they did not discontinue it because they're going to resume it on the in the update after the one that did not run, which is pretty nice because there's no hope is lost there. And then this there's also Wish banner for Tensei heroes as well as the Wish banner for Langrisser. Well, wait, yeah, Langrisser Mobile 1 and 2. I don't know, for some reason, CN decided to run the Mobile 1 and 2 heroes on the fourth week instead of the usual 2 weeks. Although Zilong might actually do this differently in global by moving that to the second week, but we'll just have to see. And like like what this picture shows, banners may change without notice. So yeah, anything can happen. And this week will begin on the 6th of March, all the way to the 19th of March. Yeah, I gotta say, this banner lineup it looks pretty solid when it comes to meta additions, like Celica, for example, as well as Tyrantel, and which we'll talk about later because the next update is gonna add some stuff we need to talk about regarding certain characters. So, anyways, moving on to the next section, which is the what events slash changes to expect. So, there aren't any new changes when it comes to quality of life, although there's some stuff we need to talk about when it comes to events. The Forbidden Battleground is returning once more, as well as it comes with a new event which works similarly to Endless Voyage, or Endless Voyage, depending on how you're going to pronounce it. And yeah, this update is going to be wild when it comes to events. Okay, moving on, let's talk about the new stuff here. So, new confession and exclusive. So, last update we got Tabriz's headwear. Now we got Tyrantel's, I think, armor or headwear. Could be armor. I'm not too sure myself. And this one increases his HP by 10% before entering combat with an enemy with Seal Supremacy. This dispels one random buff from the opponent and restores HP equal to 30% of damage dealt after combat. If enemy with the Seal of Supremacy dies, Tyrantel can select two targets the next time he uses Seal Supremacy, and this cannot be dispelled and you cannot be immunized. So even if you have buff block, you'll still get it. This is a nice upgrade for Tyrantel. So if you've been using Tyrantel a lot lately, why not get his exclusive? Because this is pretty nice addition for him. And the new confession for this update is Tiana. So we will finally be seeing Tiana's the amount of battles we put her in pretty soon. Okay, next let's talk about the new casting pattern skills. So we got 4 new ones. I think these 4 you already knew what's coming. So let's talk about what these ones do, one by one. The first one we got is Pure Test. Attack plus 10%. When Pure Test acts again, all buff durations on her will not be reduced, and she gains a 1-turn buff that refreshes an active skill's cooldown if the skill gets a kill. Yeah, this is actually pretty awesome to have for Pure Test because she's been neglected for a long time because she's underpowered. But with this casting, I could see some potential in her. Will I be seeing her in Apex? I don't think so. It depends on how you play her. Next up, we got Rosenseal. Although her time in Apex is gone, unfortunately. But will this bring her back? We'll have to read it out and see how it works. So, increased by 10%. Crystal healing lasts for one additional turn. And crystal healing applied by Crystal Ward, which is a 3C, cannot be dispelled. So, this one might actually give her another chance in the Apex. Although the reason why I said that her time is already gone is because I don't see myself using her much anymore because Ilya kind of took that role when it comes to debuff immunity. And maybe healing too, but not as strong as Rosenseal. So do I think Rosensteel is gonna have like a chance in Apex? I would say yeah, she may have a good chance, but not as strong as not as crazy as it used to be. Next up we got is Werner Dime. And then he's gonna get in a is gonna get casting here, so this one basically increases his attack by 5%. After using maneuver shift skill, Werner Dime can act again. Can only trigger once per round, which is fair. So yeah, this is actually pretty nuts if you think about it. So basically, maneuver shift skill will be active as an act again skill, as like most of the modern units we have so far, like Andy, you name it. Yeah, Vernadime really needs this buff, honestly. Do I think Vernadime's gonna show up in Apex again? I doubt that, but maybe it depends because he can be pretty strong in some degree. And finally, we got Polyol. Yeah, she has been an underdog ever since many meta units have actually changed the meta a lot drastically to a point where Polyol becomes a suicide unit. So let's see how her casting is gonna fare here. Skill damage increased by 10%. When using a skill, the skill cooldown is reduced by 1 turn per enemy hit, after 3 turns reduction. So yeah, Polyol with the cooldown reduction, depending on how many enemies you hit with the skill, that could actually help her out a lot because she can just rush in and then like slam and attack as many as she likes, but only after 3 turns cooldown though. So yeah, basically she'll be able to dish out a lot more AoEs than she normally would, which is pretty nice. So do I think Paul is gonna return to the meta? I would say yeah. It depends on what box you're running because if you're running AoE Rush, then yeah, she fits well with that kind of casting. But if not, then yeah, Polio is probably just a unit that you could forget. But although she will deserve this because she has been falling off for so long. But now with this casting, I could imagine she's gonna be back in some shape or form when it comes to what team she's gonna be part of. For sure, she's gonna be part of AOE Rush, but for the tank push, I don't know because it's still kind of a question out there. And finally, before we leave this video off to like a nice ending, there's something we need to talk about when it comes to the next update after the Safreen and Nornorin update. So the next update is going to be someone you should probably save up for, and that character is Dragon Slayer. Yeah, you get that right. A Dragon Slayer is coming after these two. So if you think about spending your crystals for Safreen and Nornorin, you had to think twice because this character will probably perform far better than those two. Yeah, what I mean by that is that Dragon Slayer will be arriving next, and also you need to save your resources for this guy because he is a PvP menace that can pull Uno Reverse on classic advantages. Yep, and that Uno Reverse card that is shown in the image is not really part of the picture, but I added as an additional context of what it means. Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of craziness going on. Like basically, if you have like a Vargas or Dragon Slayer, I would say, and he's gonna go out against Hollies or archers, he's gonna pull Uno reverse on them and then have himself class advantage against them, which is absolutely terrifying if you think about it. Anyways, that's about it from me. Hope y'all find this video informative or helpful. And good luck out there if you want to summon for Saffron and Norin, or you're saving your resources for Dragon Slayer. Until then, see you all next time.